Good
Morning, Frankie.
morning. Morning, everyone.
Good
Good morning,
morning.
Jordan. Good morning, Jordan. Thank you for your intervention yesterday, Jordan. You really did such a great job by um, summarizing everything. It was wonderful to hear your voice yesterday. Thank you very much.
I hope everything went well with your meeting yesterday, Adriana.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't that good, but oh my God, wait up. Uh-huh. Yeah. No, it wasn't that well, but it was really the challenge of the lesson. I mean, I had to really stay focused on the lesson because yesterday was such a forgiveness challenge. So um, I'm doing okay now. I think I could clearly see that I need no more conflict during the day. So I really remained silent, even though I did have like this kind of hmm, conflict within me. So I really had to focus on the lesson all day long, and it was helpful because it really helped me to. I mean, it really did my afternoon different, and I could be helpful in other ways with Lee and well, and in fact,
You
Lee was
were.
he was really a great example on how not to engage. So, so we were really yesterday working our lesson, both of us. And we did. I guess we did a great job on that yesterday. So yeah, it wasn't that good, but it wasn't that bad, and I didn't have any more conflict around it. So let's see. I'm moving forward with this. So my hopes are that whenever I'm taking my days as the application of the lesson,
Uh,
I will be fine. So yeah.
well, me too. Today is Workbook Lesson 63. The light of the world brings peace to every mind through my forgiveness. I too had a bunch of exercises in forgiveness yesterday. Seems like it just went around. So, if you've all had a challenging week, or month, or year, or decade, you know, you're not alone. And one little step at a time. Most days are better than they were in the past for me, so I think it's getting a little easier. But that doesn't mean every day is going to be perfect. Lesson 63 is the light of the world brings peace to every mind through my forgiveness. How holy are you who have the power to bring peace to every mind? How blessed are you who can learn to recognize the means for letting this be done through you, which is forgiveness. What purpose could you have that would bring you greater happiness than to bring peace to every mind? You are indeed the light of the world, with such a function of bringing peace to every mind through forgiveness. The Son of God looks to you for his redemption. The Son of God's redemption is yours to give him. Peace and redemption belong to you. Accept no trivial purpose or meaningless desire in redemption's place, or you will forget your function of bringing peace to every mind through your forgiveness. Oops, and I should have finished that sentence, sorry. and leave the Son of God in hell. So that sentence would have been, accept no trivial purpose or meaningless desire in redemption's place, or you will forget your function of bringing peace to every mind through your forgiveness and leave the Son of God in hell. Right? That's our brother. Your function of bringing peace to every mind through forgiveness is no idle request that's being asked of you. You are being asked to accept salvation. That salvation may be yours to give. Recognizing the importance of this function, of our accepting salvation, so that salvation may be ours to give, and we will be happy to remember this function very often today. We will begin the day by acknowledging that the light of the world brings peace to every mind through my forgiveness, and close the day with the same thought, that the light of the world brings peace to every mind through my forgiveness. In our awareness, keep that in our awareness. And throughout the day, we'll repeat this idea as often as we can. The light of the world brings peace to every mind through my forgiveness. I am the means God has appointed for the salvation of the world. If you close your eyes, you'll probably find it easier to let the related thoughts come to you in the minute or two that you should devote to considering this idea. Do not, however, wait for such an opportunity. No chance should be lost for reinforcing today's idea that the light of the world brings peace to every mind through my forgiveness. Remember that God's Son looks to you for his salvation, and who but your big S self must be God's Son? That's the reading, and here are the notes on the lesson. The light of the world brings forgiveness. The light of the world brings peace to every mind through my forgiveness. Lesson 63. This lesson states how important your function is to the sonship. ACIM uses the term sonship, or Son of God, to represent all that God created as God created it. Being a shared oneness, the mind of God, we are all joined. Yet, in our egoic world of individuated private perception, we don't feel joined. We feel very distinct and apart from the rest of what we experience through the medium of time and space. This makes sense. Since we have been brought up to believe that we're in competition with our neighbors for the limited resources that we all need to survive. Our society fosters a fear-based thought system in which the strong take from the weak. If you're to win, somebody else must lose. This thought system makes it nearly impossible for anyone to truly believe another would love them unconditionally. That is part of my problem. Most perceive that the other party must have an ulterior motive or an agenda for any act of kindness that they bestow on another. In a fear-based thought system, each party is always seeking to make a good trade. Each seeks to gain as much as possible with minimal loss of their precious resources. We are consciously or subconsciously bartering to get our perceived needs met. When you are on your deathbed and you look back at the quality of your life, you will not measure your success or failure by how many things you've accumulated. Instead, the quality of your life will be contingent on the quality of your relationship with others. Were your relationships built on love or fear? When we believe that we are a limited ego body in competition with other limited ego bodies for our precious resources that we both need to survive, we're incapable of giving or receiving unconditional love. In the world of the split-minded, the closest you can come to unconditional love is true forgiveness. Earlier, it was stated that God cannot forgive us because God has never condemned us. The only one who can forgive us is someone that has first condemned us. Because we have falsely judged and condemned both others and ourselves as guilty sinners, we, not God, have the ability to forgive. In time and space, true forgiveness is the realization that what I thought my brother did to harm me never took place. Being an invulnerable child of God, I could never be harmed by another, since I'm protected by the love of God. Time and space is our play school, where we can be or imagine anything we want to experience in perfect safety. We are safe because a fantasy has no ability to change the truth that is the will of God. It is a dimension in which you can pretend that you're vulnerable to outside forces that are beyond your control. If you can forget that you're the creator of your provisional reality, it's easy to slip into fear. Fear is false evidence appearing real. When you do so, you make this false world that you imagined appear real. You now believe yourself to be a victim of the provisional reality that you created. You now believe that you are separate, that you can attack, and that you can be attacked. The vast majority follow the thought system of fear. They really believe they can harm you. Therefore, when they believe they have done so, it generates a great deal of internal blame, shame, and guilt about the incident within their own mind. They seek your forgiveness because they find it difficult, if not impossible, to forgive themselves. They fear retribution and punishment for their actions. Because they follow the ego's fear-based thought system, your willingness to forgive them for what they perceive to be the harm that they have done to you is of great benefit to them. Ultimately, only they can forgive themselves, for they have only attacked themselves. They hold their own karmic keys of forgiveness. But when they perceive that you have forgiven them, they're often empowered to forgive themselves. You cannot force someone to accept the atonement, the at-one-ment for themselves. Just because you know that they are innocent of any real crime or sin, they will not necessarily believe that about themselves. But by your act of forgiveness, you open their mind to the possibility of their acceptance of your higher vision about who they really are. When you forgive another, You accept the other without judgment or conditions. You give them the freedom to do whatever they perceive to be in their best interest, without making them wrong or guilty for their decisions. You do not necessarily have to agree with their decisions, nor is it your responsibility to prevent the other party from suffering the natural consequences of their actions on this planet. But it is important to distinguish between someone's actions carried out on the game board of time and space and who they really are. In time and space, people make inappropriate decisions that you would not choose to follow. But their decisions to experience something different does not make them a bad person. We're all on our own perfect path. Honor and allow them to follow their path without judgment, and dismiss your egoic need to make another wrong. When you do, you will be demonstrating that we have all come here to experience and learn.
What we have all come here to experience.
Yeah, I missed that word what, didn't I?
Yeah.
When you do, you'll be demonstrating what we have all come here to experience and learn. You will be love in form, and your forgiveness will light your world. It's easy to be a holy man on a mountain, but the real trick is raising an 8-year-old and learning how to accept the love of God in a world of seeming hate and fear. That is what we are here to learn. When you forgive, you accept another without judgment or conditions. When you forgive, you demonstrate unconditional love. Through your forgiveness, you illuminate someone else's dark world of perception. You help lift them up to the light. Let's take a minute and take a couple of deep breaths, and we'll do our lesson right away. And then I've got a question for us to discuss. And I'm looking forward to making a great day today. So let's take a nice deep breath and connect with whatever part of you is connected to the earth. I'm standing, so I'm picturing my feet, and I'm taking a nice, deep, cleansing breath. Breathe that into your lungs and hold that for a moment. And let your air come out. Exhale with control. And when you're ready, take a nice deep breath. Open up your belly, expand your lungs. Breathe deep. Hold it for a moment or two. And take your time exhaling this time. And let every little bit out as you prepare for the deepest breath of your day. So when you feel comfortable, take that deep breath and fill your lungs. No rush. If I'm fast, take a deep breath. Fill your lungs and hold that breath. And count to yourself to 5 while I start to go through our lesson of the day. Today's lesson: the light of the world brings peace to every mind through my forgiveness. The lesson starts out reminding us how blessed we are. If you can recognize this as the means for letting peace be brought through you, that's the biggest blessing God can offer us. This is no trivial purpose. There is no meaningless desire here. In fact, this is your only purpose: to remember. You're asked to accept salvation that it may be yours to give. Recognize this importance today and remember this thought throughout the day. The light of the world brings peace to every mind through forgiveness. I am the means God has appointed for the salvation of the world. As you have your eyes closed today for a moment or two, say this thought and let a couple of thoughts come to mind. Every time you get a chance to repeat this thought to yourself today, take that opportunity. The light of the world brings peace to every mind through my forgiveness. Remember, God's child looks to you for their salvation. And who but your big self, your higher self, must be that child for him. No chance should be lost for reinforcing today's idea. So to keep it with you one more time, the light of the world brings peace to every mind through my forgiveness. And let's take a couple of deep breaths to bring ourselves back out. Straighten that spine. Bring the attention to where you are connected to the earth. Those roots run deep. They will sustain you today. As our Father, Mother, God helps us get ready for another Friday. Happy day to march forth with happiness and be the light of the world and bring peace to every mind through our forgiveness. Thank you all for joining me here today. I've got a question of the day for us. It's when did you feel most loved? Was it when you received an unexpected gift from another? Or was it when you felt accepted by another just the way you were, without any judgment or conditions? There's a bunch of love languages, if you guys have ever read that book, The Love Languages. One of the love languages is a gift giver. There are 4 other kinds. Physical love, their desire for that. But really, unconditional love is, supersedes all of this. It is a mother's love. It is a father's love in the purest form. So that's what we're here to find. Today, I am relying on unconditional love and trying to turn it back towards myself. I had a tough, tough day yesterday. I hope you guys had a better one. I expect the day to be better than yesterday, but how's everybody doing?
I wanted to say, in regards to unconditional love, I know as uh, a young person, like 23, I think I ran into someone that was willing to give unconditional love. And because of where I was, and it was such a foreign concept that anyone would accept me just the way I was, didn't want to change me or anything else, would let me do whatever I wanted. I had a very difficult time with that unconditional love or of receiving. I couldn't understand what I could give her that would uh, force her, I'm going to say, to continue to love me. And therefore, because I didn't feel that I was worthy of being loved, and I couldn't see any way I could manipulate her because I could give her nothing. She had everything. You know, she had professional status. She was a beautiful person. All these other things. But because I couldn't accept myself, that I was worthy of receiving that type of love, I just had to break that relationship off. And later in life, I remember whenever I was kind of uh, gave forgiveness to my father, and I told him that he was my greatest teacher and he was exactly what I needed and he did everything perfectly. It was amazing how uh, that higher belief of who he was uh, so much freedom was given to him, and how he transformed and how our relationship changed. But whenever I was younger or in my family, my father didn't have a name. He was, we just referred to him as he or him, and everybody knew what we were talking about. But he uh, didn't have a name. No one ever called him father or dad or anything like that. It was just a him or a he. It was like a uh, we always thought of him as an uncontrolled force that we wanted to get away with or get away from. But whenever I told him he did everything perfectly, that took a tremendous burden off of him. And that giving of unconditional forgiveness really can change another's person life, but it can change your own because now you give yourself the freedom to allow him to leave the prison that you've kept him in your own mind. Perhaps he'll accept that forgiveness and move to a higher plane. Perhaps he won't. But whenever you unlock those doors, you get to leave. And that opens up new possibilities. And so this lesson, from both the standpoint of being the recipient of, I'm going to say, unconditional love and not being willing to accept it, and then just giving someone unconditional forgiveness and saying that there was nothing wrong. He never did anything wrong. He did everything perfect. That was really a tremendous weight off of his shoulders. And but since the law of God is to give is to receive, it was a tremendous blessing off of my shoulders because that meant I didn't have to continue with that negative creation cycle. I could forgive myself and him, and the karmic cycle was complete. Uh, thank you.
I'm blown away by your experience, Tom, because it really it only shows how really good have you been in applying the course in your life and seeing everything through this kind of perspective. So I'm really thankful for what you said. But this question that you made here, like when did you feel you were most loved? It really, I mean, I never questioned that before in myself, and I really was having a hard time on finding like this kind of unconditional love. I mean, I know that everything is around me for a reason now, and I can see the work of God on my way now. I mean, He has always, or uh, the creation of God has always been supporting me, and I never saw it like that. But I'm really struggling. When did you feel you were most loved? And the only thing that I can think of is my daughter. My daughter is the most unconditional love I've ever felt, because she doesn't care if I mean, she can really forgive instantly if I had a rough day of, I don't know, yelling at her, or giving her some kind of a structure or whatever that she really was putting resistance on. And then she really, even though she can take a while, a moment, it doesn't take much for her to just change change her behavior and give the love back again. I mean, she never, I don't know, it's just that that's the most loved that I ever felt in my life. I know my mom loves me very much, and she has more faith in me than I ever could have in me. But as I have been like this kind of support for her, so I don't feel like I'm so, I don't know, it's weird. This question is really going deep in my mind. And I can only think in the love of my daughter. And I hope that remains like that because I'm now going to have to leave her for a while. Meanwhile, I build this new life for me and have her again in my space. So I don't know. I'm just hoping that that unconditional love remains like that, even or despite whatever I do with my life now. So
The and this is because of where I was whenever I maybe came across it, but the only, I mean, I feel unconditional love now actually from what I consider God. And that makes, whenever you feel that God loves you unconditionally, it's just a tremendous sense of freedom, and you start loving everything. And because you'll realize, I like to, in my meditations and stuff, I like to see God's unconditional love uh, raining down upon me, and hearing that voice that uh, I am God's beloved child with whom she is well pleased. And I just feel so much at peace and safe and secure knowing that I'm part of that oneness, and I could do nothing that could ever uh, break that flow of that unconditional love. I can deny its existence, but I can never do anything that would uh, cause what I perceive as God to stop loving me or everything else. It's just a tremendous sense of liberation and freedom. Um, thank
yeah,
you.
it's easy saying it. It's easy saying it. Like, I mean, for me, it's easy to love, but it's so hard to see the love or feel the love around me. I mean, it's funny because I can really see that I don't hate anybody, and even though I had a hard time with with the father of my child, I really making my I mean, I'm really doing my work and have him as holy as I can in order for me to move forward and experience love as well. So it's easy for me to love, but feel the love back to me. I mean, it's 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 funny. I never questioned that. I and I'm
Eh,
hesitating. I'm hesitating if I have ever felt like in relationships some form of unconditional love, and that's why I only thought about my daughter. I know that God is within everything, and that's why I'm so thrilled doing this process of A Course in Miracles, because now I know that I have been always been supported. But in the the level of the form in this journey that I'm having, I'm realizing that I don't know how to receive it as well.
Adriana,
What?
I love you unconditionally.
Oh my God, you're gonna make me cry. Oh.
Well, yeah, in my own situation, I I was full of so much hate, and I hated God the most because to me, I just hated God. And so it's just amazing to me that God could, is my notion of God, could still love someone that hated him so. Just amazing. And that's the power of unconditional love. It just flows, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. And that's what we think
Yeah,
we are. We
recognizing that
refuse to
is the
accept that.
hardest part. I
Yeah,
know that it
it's very
flows.
hard to accept love
Yeah,
unconditionally because we've been brought up with the idea that love has to be earned. That if we don't behave properly, if we don't act accordingly, the person that supposedly loves us has some duty, obligation, or requirement to try and fix, change, control, protect, or impress us because they supposedly love us. And unconditional love, and God's got an advantage because He knows that we're just playing in the game, and we're kind of like the prodigal son that goes around and can screw up and be a you know totally stupid and do everything against their own best interest, and yet that that is that love is always there if we are willing to turn ourselves around and just open our arms and say, I accept it, I'm worthy. But we've got to give ourselves permission, and that's the hardest thing to do. We can forgive others, but we are very, very hard on ourselves. And the most one of the four axioms in I'm going to say maybe reawakening is the realization that the only relationship of consequence is my relationship with God, my source, the depth of the ocean, because God is in everything. God is everywhere. And if you have that relationship with that connectiveness, uh, nothing else really matters. It's just amazing. Thank you.
I'm just wondering if this is something that comes with time, because as we grow old, we had to learn so many hard lessons in life. In that part, I mean, I could really understand everything that you said, and because I'm now seeing it, I mean, everything is a reflection of my relationship with God. Yesterday, I had this meeting with the lawyer because I thought I did a good job on making the settlement the most convenient for our daughter and for him, in fact, in order for him to get this thing signed, and so I can move forward with my life in the easiest way possible, or not in the easiest, the highest way possible, because this is not easy. In fact, for my daughter, will not be easy. So I wanted to make sure that I could have um, his agreement on having some kind of structure where I can feel like supported, I guess, or not supported, but that he can have like this space really opened up for me to be with my daughter, and I need, as long as I going to move away and do my life again in another place, I need to choose to stand up again. So I think I was coming from a lack perspective in that point. And of course, his response to that was no, no, no. And he requested more years of custody of my daughter. And I thought, well, I don't, I don't want to hold him in my mind with this kind of thoughts of resentment, because I know that he is a good father, even though I didn't have a good husband with him, in this relationship. I know for sure that he is a good father. But being a good father also means that you need to have a space uh, to have the mother of your child in some sort of safe position, so your daughter or your son can be in touch with them. And I didn't feel that yesterday, so I was really heartbroken because I wasn't asking anything for myself. I mean, we built this house, we made a lot of things with my money as well, and he did give back my money in some point of our conflict, but I never have any like retribution or anything. I mean, and I didn't bother. I just received my money back, and he did. Uh, he started to do some things that are not so good, but well. So I do have the sense that he has been like it's just that he I think him as this person that is so attached to the level of the form and the money, that he's really dismissing the part of love and the part of safety that we need to put in place to have my daughter certain that she's not losing any one of us because of this breakup situation. And I don't see that in him, and that breaks my heart because it makes it harder for me. And all I can see is opportunities now with my life, with this new love that I have with Lee. I only see opportunities, and he is in this position that it makes it harder to just move forward. And so I'm really like feeling stuck a little bit in that position because I don't want to hold him in this kind of resentment, but his response to my to my willingness just to give up on almost everything is still asking for more and putting himself in a position where he seems to be the victim in some form, and saying the lawyer that he is in such a bad place, and he's not. I mean, it's really amazing how he can put himself in this kind of bad position as if he didn't have any. I mean, he really is a wealthy man, and he is now in control of everything around him, and he asked for more. So I don't know. I'm just doing the best that I can, but I'm just wondering if it's something that comes with years of practice, because it's hard to find this unconditional love in the level of the form among these kind of situations where you don't seem to find it in the person that you picked supposedly to build a family. So it's hard. It's hard. And I know that everything will be okay. And I'm fully, I mean, yesterday I was about to have a conversation with him and his mom, because I said to myself, this is not fair. And I was going to have a talk, and I said, no, I'm not going. I was talking to Lily, really helped me to just be like, yeah, I'm not going to have any conflict in this. And I really just took the time for myself, and I didn't attack back or anything. And it felt great in some form, but I still have this feeling like it's just like heartbroken, you know. I don't want to have this kind of fear anymore of
that what I'm doing is going to have some repercussion in my daughter's life, because I don't know how he will respond in the future with my changes and me leaving her. I'm not leaving my daughter, but it seems like I'm leaving her. So I don't want to feel. And I know that I need to do this because it is what it is. And I'm finding this new whole world of love that I want to really have in my life. And I will have it, but it seems like it comes with a huge step for me to make. And I need to just, I don't know, I need just to feel like I'm not doing wrong. I don't know. It's just feeling the love back is hard. I don't feel the love back from him. So of course that has to do with my relationship with God still, and I'm trying to figure that out. And I don't know if that will come with time or not. But I want that kind of healing in my heart, because I don't want to feel like I'm doing wrong with pursuing love anymore. So I don't know. I see you, Tom, and I know that you have been going through a lot of things in your life, and I really appreciate your experience. So thank you for everything that you said, because it gives me hope. But I'm only thinking like, how much time does that take?
I guess just remember that everybody's on their own perfect path, and you're not responsible to for their path. Just trust in the big picture and know that uh, God's will is that you be happy, and that's what uh, God wants for us. And we just have to get out of our own way and accept that flow and know that uh, in this world of seeming hate and fear, that we just need to have this serene, the non-judgmental, serene acceptance, the flow of time and space, and an unshakable faith in the good intentions of the Creator, that everybody's on their own perfect path. And our DNA, our spiritual DNA, means that we're all going to make it, and that we don't have to uh, begrudge someone if they, if we're all going to make it to the promised land or to San Francisco. Not that that's the promised land, but if we're all going to the destinations to get to San Francisco, and we're all guaranteed to make it, it doesn't matter if I decide to take a side trip to visit the Grand Canyon or to visit hell, uh, because in the end, we're all going to get there. If you decide to jump on a plane and arrive there in a couple of hours, and I decide to take a zillion lifetimes, it doesn't matter. We're all going to be there. We're all going to get there. And our job or is to give ourselves permission to enjoy the journey and all the learning lessons and opportunities that time and space gives us to reawaken to the truth of who we really are. And, you know, uh, we're safe. Uh, I'm not a body. I'm free. I'm still as God created me. Nothing sources my experience but me, and nothing can rob me of my own inner peace unless I choose to allow it. But God has given us the total freedom to be or imagine anything we want in perfect safety. And because of what we are and how we've been created, part of the oneness of all that is, we can deny that reality, but ultimately within us, we will reawaken to the truth. And let's just know that you are loved unconditionally, and you're on your own perfect path. All you have to do is open up your arms and accept and go with the flow and trust in the big picture and not judge other people or yourself for where you are on that path, because all the roads you've ever climbed a mountain, you'll know that there's a lot of times where there's switchback trails. You seem to be going downhill, but ultimately you follow that path, you get to the top, and all roads lead to the top. Thank you.
Yeah, in fact, yeah, thank you very much for that, Tom. You make me remember something that I told in other sessions, that this is like the sixth time that I had to really undo everything and start my life all over again. And I thought that it was like a step back, but it wasn't. It was something that really gave me a huge amount of new experience. I mean, it really it was like going up and up and up and up. My entire life has been like that. So thank you, Tom, for all your kind words. I love you very much. Thank you very
You-
much.
You're,
It, there's only
whenever you say you're going to start your life all over again, you never start your life all over. You always get to start at where you left off, which means you've already traversed all those ups and downs, and you're so much closer. You don't realize how close you are. Just give yourself permission and uh, accept the flow. Uh, Thank you.
the only thing in this world that can exude and show me complete unconditional love is my dog. No matter what happens, that dog completely loves me immediately. If I'm walking somewhere and there's another dog coming towards me and I can just see he's ready to start barking, and I don't really want to go through that again, I can just give a little yank on the leash, and he's happy again, as if nothing happened. It's absolutely amazing, and he's wired that way. Um, and it's funny that the word dog spelled backwards is God. It's absolutely, that's an amazing thing.
I never thought of that. Oh my God, yes.
There's your etymology, okay? But more than that, the separation is the only problem that we ever had, and the separation put us into a situation where we can be apart from anybody, because it's only our bodies that are going to be separate. The idea is that our consciousness is still part of a big one, and that's altogether God. We never really separate. In today's world, um, we can be on opposite sides of the planet and be talking to each other for a whole day as if we're right there together, because what is really what we are is our minds and our love, which we don't even have a good word for that except to say our heart, the symbol that communicates instantly and everywhere. When the book says that if we forgive somebody here, we're also forgiving people elsewhere, that's not a myth, and that's not meant to inspire us to say, "Oh, I'm forgiving everybody." It's more of a exact an exactitude. It's a precise statement of fact, because we are all one. It comes down to, who are we? Are we this bag of bones, or what Lee calls a meat puppet that our hand has to go in and manipulate? No, we're consciousness. We are a consciousness of light. There's all kinds of millions of words we could use, but basically that's what we are. You could say we're like an energy blob, or a quantum something or other, but we're each a piece of God. And as such, we are all connected to God, every single one of us. So we never really leave anyone else. And we never, it's only because of our attachment to bodies that you think that you're going to be apart from someone. In today's world, I mean, I'm old enough to remember that you could write a letter to someone in another country and hope that in a week and a half they would get it. You know, and now it's we have 15 different ways with if you have a phone, you can connect with anyone. And that's only going to get better. We can't even imagine right now how that could get better any more than my great grandfather could have realized that he could have contacted his family in Israel when he came here in a shorter period of time. It's everything is in that sense getting better because, in spite of all appearances, our world is becoming more and more alike. Look at what Ukrainians are doing. It's incredible. A week ago, everybody said, "Here comes World War III." Well, it ain't here yet. And there are things that are happening that are really making a difference that we couldn't have imagined 100 years ago or really 60 years ago when Hitler was doing his thing, and so on and so on. But as far as love is concerned, that's the quickest way to get close to and be a part of because we can just feel our heart sometimes and know that we're contacting someone who's in another place, another three-dimensional space, but never farther apart than our heart, because that's where our consciousness seems to reside. It's hard to say that when you're to someone who is contemplating having to separate from somebody that they love. And I understand that. I I've had my experiences, everyone has, but we're never really apart. We're not going to be apart. It's never going to happen any other way. In the long run, it's everything's a short run, and we're not going very far away. It's really right here. This phone enables me to be with my son every day. It has for the last 6 years. Every single day, our hearts come together. So we have to, when we're feeling bad, that's what we have to think about. One last thing, um, the separation is the one thing that apparently we as parts of God decided we needed to try something out. So this is an experiment. And in this experiment, there are things that don't work out very well because we have these bodies and this life that we're in. And so physically, you're going to be apart from your daughter for a while. Okay? That's that is the unintended consequence that's painful of the separation. But the separation itself was never a sin because God has told us there was never any sin. So we're exploring, we're playing. Each person is a fully aware, loving entity, and it always will be that way. So I think it's time for George to come in here and say something because he will tell us something that will make us all laugh. And I think we can all use that. Come on, George.
Hi, Bobby.
All right, you did it for me.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
A
Don't make me
couple of
come.
days late.
March 4th into that one, George. You're doing all right, man.
Well, his brother is having a birthday today. Michael is it's
Yeah.
A fifth birthday present.
Yeah, my brother was born on my birthday 5 years later.
Oh, wow.
Hard to say that. Well, we got crazy birthdays in our family. And it's really funny because when Linda was here, we compared that same notion to her family, which of course now she's my family as well. In her family, the number 18, most of the birthdays are on the 18th of a month. And then it turns out, really strangely, that Jenny, who is her daughter, my granddaughter, has the same birthday as Susie, my wife. So, and then one of my brothers was born on my father's birthday. Another of my brothers was born on my mother's birthday. We got all these strange things. It just, what do you do? What does it prove? Nothing. It's just fun to contemplate, and each year we go through it. I got this email from my brother, the one in Israel. He sent. I don't know if I said this or not the other day, but he sent me an email on uh, 2 hours before March 1st, and he said, "You've got 2 hours left to be the same age as me, but in 2 hours you will be older than me." Because I was born March 1st. In the same year he was born, I'm sorry, to the next year, he was born on January 31st. So we are the same age for the month of February. And this time he warned me that I only have 2 hours left of that. And it's just silly stuff because these are all body things that has to do with when we came in. And if they happen to be coincidental, that's all they are, coincidental. But my dog instantly loves me no matter what I do. And and there is at least an example that God has given. Besides Tom. Tom loves everyone. We know that.
Yeah, he has
So
this
it's
loving
Tom
posture right now.
and our dogs.
Go, George.
And
I was
Right.
born on my Uncle Tom's birthday.
there you go.
It's so cute. I don't know, when I was born, I think he was 19 years old. It's amazing. And got this, for my 50th birthday, he gave me a picture of him holding me up with this Santa hat on. It's so cute. But yeah, I don't have much to say today. Um, but thanks for inviting me to speak.
I'd like to say something. Good morning.
Yeah.
I'm understanding forgiveness in terms of self-forgiveness, and not in not necessarily in terms of big things, but more just like daily things, just continuously offering myself forgiveness for any kind of judgment thought I might have or anything that I might think I did wrong, because I have a very strong self-critical voice in my mind, um, and I'm just practicing that, daily, momentary, moment by moment forgiveness, and remembering I could see peace instead of this. And when I heard, I don't know the full story, Adriana's story, but one thing that struck me, just based on some other work that I've been doing, um, aside from A Course in Miracles, keeping in mind that nothing that exists in God's creation is ever anything except God. Um, it sounds like you're making a lot of concessions to Him, to someone outside of you, like a perceived other, um, but not making concessions to you. Obviously, you've decided to go elsewhere and have another love and all that. But in terms of the negotiation, um like, how much are you giving, including yourself and your needs and in what you're asking for? And I ask that only because yeah, that's been my experience with myself, is that I very easily, because I had this sort of pervasive codependency and enmeshment that I've been working through, um which is that everybody else's needs are more important. I have to give, 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 give. And I, spiritualized that.
Me too.
Yeah, that in God's universe, I have to be more accepting and more loving and more forgiving. But it's all that but that's all been directed to another. And I am learning to be accepting and loving and forgiving and include myself in the conversation, because it sounds like your ex is asking for a lot for himself. He's including himself. He's thoroughly including himself, whereas you're thoroughly including him. And then where are you? And I just really want to speak for the idea that if you or we or I or any of us thoroughly include ourselves and speak for our needs and speak for our boundaries, you know, God doesn't condemn us. We are still in that one. You know, it's not like forgiveness is only for the other. Forgiveness is for us to give to us too. And love is to give to for us to give to us, and inclusion. And you know, that idea, like, who has ever fully unconditionally loved me? Well, no one can fully unconditionally love me until I fully unconditionally love myself, until I'm in a position where I can receive that, because I know it's true that I am entirely lovable just as I am. So that's what I've got to say. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Tama. Yeah, yeah. I totally get what you're saying, because that has been my. I don't like to say like a problem, because it's not a problem, but probably it's the like some pattern in my life to do that. I mean, by doing that, and yes, I did try it. I have been trying to get this divorce done like 4 years or more, but only in the past year I really I mean, I took action with one lawyer, and she really built this document where I really was taking the whole situation into account for me to have the things that I thought I needed in the moment to be with my daughter safely here. And well, it was another moment in my life, so I built this document, and that was really a tremendous conflict. I had this huge response on his side, and it was really, really like a no, and it was really like a war. And I said to myself, well, as I was just at the beginning of the Course in Miracles, I really could see my relationship with him in another perspective, and I could really understand the reasons why why I have this experience with him. I started to realize that I don't need to um, make any more conflict around this, because I, I just don't have any attachment to the things per se, you know. I just want peace, I just want love in my life. And by having to fight for, like, I don't know, a piece of land, or an alimony, or a child support on this like that, so I can be with my daughter, it was only because I didn't have any other way. I that was in that moment the only way I could see that I could be in a better position to show my daughter how to be loving without having to have this kind of conflict within the house. And as that didn't work out, I just continued my journey with A Course in Miracles, and it helped me a lot to really drop a lot of belief systems that were really, really holding me back in so many things. And then Lee appeared into my life, and then everything started to to show itself like a whole new love, a world in love, and I just could see another way. I mean, now I could see another way, and I start to address that in my life, and welcoming that part in my life the most high way possible. So I start to said to my mother-in-law. I mean, ever since I started to feel these things for Lee, and he really accepted that he was feeling things as well. So I really started to have this like, I'm gonna embrace this and I'm gonna move forward with this, even though I haven't been able to get the divorce, because this is my better way to do things. So I did have this conversation. I mean, I told my husband, I'm entering a new relationship. I want you to be aware of it because I'm not going to be hiding around the house talking to this person. I'm beginning to know him, and my mother-in-law was really supportive, and she really is my angel, so she's okay with it. And I started with the full, respect this relationship. And now I'm moving forward with my life, and now I know for sure that I don't need to have any battle with him. And he will have to be with my daughter for a period of time so I can move around my physical things, so I can have a new loving world where I can really have her with me if she wants to, and if everything goes as it should be. I mean, I'm not even requesting anything like or demanding anything for myself, not because I don't care to have or not to have, it's just because I'm not longer going to play the war game. So it's like letting go is like Stanley said yesterday, such a great thoughts on the forgiveness part, because forgiveness maybe is not like you need to love him, but you need to let go. So yesterday with the appointment that I had with the lawyer, where she said, well, he's now asking for this and for this, and I was saying, oh my God, but I already gave him everything, and now he's requesting more. And I started to feel all my anger again, and I was really like, no. I mean, Adriana, this is really the challenge of your life. Your new perspective on life is your mind in God. I mean, I know I love Lee, but it's not because I love him as he being this special character in my life. It's because I'm reconstructing my relationship with God, and Lee appeared into my life to be really an example of how to be the love that we all can be. And that's why we connected to each other. We didn't connect to each other in the level of the form. We connected from the level of the heart and the mind, and then the form. And, and as that is so powerful and so strong, if I have resistance from my ex-husband to do this, it's because it is my lesson to really let go, and move forward, because I know that everything is okay, and I know that God is supporting, but it feels like, it really is like being at the edge of the building, and I'm gonna jump, and I don't know if I will make it, but I know now, because with this kind of practices with A Course in Miracles, I could really see that every time that I had to do this kind of movements in my life, it wasn't to fall down, it was just to fly higher. So this is a hard lesson because it involves my daughter. But I guess I guess it's just a God way to say, yeah, you graduated kindergarten, so you're moving forward to, to another phase in this school, and this is it's not because it's getting harder, it's just because you're breaking barriers in your mind. And it's he I mean, this book teaches you really slowly, like, yeah, God is in this church. It's like what Stanley said yesterday. It's beautiful if you can review the replay. It's like, yes, and this chair is God, this feather is God, the sun is God, and then, yeah, but your ex-husband is God as well. And if you leave and you leave your daughter, that's God as well. So it's really like increasing the volume, because you're really now going like from the simple things to the harder things to understand the deepest and, and true power of love within you, and the barriers that you have built around it that you didn't even know you had are so high but so easy to just reverse, it's really like jumping out of jumping from a building, but only to know that you have wings and that you can go higher. So I'm taking this really. This book is not for me something that I read. I'm experiencing this book since May last year, and it has changed my life. And I know that is for the good. So I need to do really an effort not to engage with conflict. I was at the verge of engaging conflict yesterday, and Lee had another rough day yesterday as well. And even though he really showed me how to really let's stay still. I mean, he wasn't giving me any advice. He was just doing his job with his situation. But I was watching him and I was thinking, yeah, he's right. I mean, I don't need to do nothing right now. I just need to just observe my thoughts, observe my feelings, and ask for the holy moment, the holy instant, the Holy Spirit guidance, and just connect with the things that I really want to connect, that I love. So instead of going after my husband and my mother-in-law and have this talk with them and trying to figure out how they will help me to feel safe doing this, I stayed and I keep Liz. I mean, we keep each other company during the afternoon and spend a great afternoon together because we were really loving each other, and we decided love instead of conflict yesterday. And so it doesn't matter if that isn't good or not. It's just a determination, a building the muscle. So
Brings us right back to today's lesson, because the light of the world, not me, the light of the world, God, brings peace to every mind if I work on my forgiveness. That's all I have to do. And I love what Tamara said before, that we have to love ourselves and not leave that out of the equation, because in all cases, really, that's where the forgiveness belongs. And then the light of the world can bring peace to everybody else. They can have their peace, but I can have my peace by my forgiving myself. That peace is beyond anything else. Lee, you want to pick up with the lesson and help us focus, make us focus
Sure,
on
Pop.
the things
thank
that
you, thank
really
you,
is
thank you,
important.
Jordan. I didn't say thank you, Jordan, and no, pardon, sorry, Tamara. Thank you, Tamara, and George, and everybody.
May I say one thing real quickly?
Go, Jordan.
Sure.
I just wanted to say that when I have felt the most loved and supported in my life were the times when I was struggling the most and I was the most vulnerable, when I was the most honest with myself, and then I was able to express what I was feeling out to others, was when I was actually received with the most compassion and the most support and the most understanding. And then that ties into what you were just talking about, that then by being that light and being vulnerable, if we're a reflection of everybody else and a reflection of each other, then we see that vulnerability in each other. And as the humans that we are, the souls that we are, we have that compassion, we have that love. That's what it all comes down to. So when I was really struggling and I was honest, I was really surprised at, when I was open to being able to being received, and I was open to receiving, that I was able to take in the support from others. And I was able to see that ultimately it really just validated the support that I had from myself, that I was building that foundation for myself to, to live on. And being honest about that allowed other people to be honest themselves. And that sparked a big reaction of just being the light in each other and shining your light outwards and allowing others to do the same. And so that's why I think this room, A Course in Miracles, the book, is so important, because it's really showing examples of how you can see in yourself how you can be the light. And when you're honest about them, like you are, Adriana, sharing your stories, you allow other people to be able to relate to that. And just like you and Lee went through different things yesterday, but you were able to support each other unconditionally, no matter what the situation was that you were going through. And that's really what I think is the beauty of it, because if you guys are able to support each other, then you can support us, then we can take this into our lives and we can support others. So really for me, I think it was just being honest and being vulnerable was at the times when I felt the most loved and supported, but I had to accept it. I couldn't let my ego mind get in the way and deny the fact that these things were happening and that maybe it can't be too good to be true, or these people are just lying to me. When those thoughts came up, it was that fighting force. But when I accepted it, like Tamara said, and accepted and fully loved myself, I was able to see the love that was always there from others as well.
Well, you really, really hit the nail with
Yeah, thanks, Jordan.
them.
All right. Well, I will bring us back to the workbook lesson. I really appreciate all the comments and our guidance, and um, I didn't share too much about my tough day yesterday, but it had to do with trying to be a great parent and falling short on a couple of different levels. And it is sure frustrating. I know I put my heart into doing everything I possibly could for my kids, and it's tough when you do everything you can think of and it still seems to fall short. So, today, the light of the world brings peace to every mind through my forgiveness. So I can forgive myself and I can forgive others' reactions to me and their assumptions that maybe I wasn't trying my hardest or wasn't giving it my all or whatever, you know. People have opinions and I can't do anything about their opinions. But if I forgive myself, sure makes it easier to forgive them. And yesterday, that's really what Adriana was talking about. It was when the policeman showed up at my door, it was not overreacting or underreacting, just accepting the news and then doing whatever I had to do next to start taking care of the problem that was there now. And I could do a couple of things, and then there was nothing else I could do. And at that point, the Course tells me that I need do nothing. And I am better off focusing on things that I can be helpful with. So, thank you all for joining us. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. I've got a good lesson saved for you. If you feel like visiting us back at courseofmiracles.live, I'll have that little meditation we just did up there so that you can listen to it if you want. And we'll be here tomorrow at 6:30 for lesson 64. And we don't have to go away, but I just thought I'd give everybody an opportunity. If you've got to go somewhere at 8, you can migrate on. And I'll probably give it a couple of minutes, and I might read through the lesson one more time for people that still want to hang out and want to be refreshed to what we're studying today. Thanks for being here, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Have a good day.
Great day. Namaste.
Bye, Frankie.
Hey, guys. Thanks, Frankie.
Thanks, everybody. Namaste, Tom. See you tomorrow.
Have a good day, everyone. See you in the morning.
Thanks, Jordan.
So grateful you were here, Jordan and Tamara both.
Always good to be here. Grateful that you guys hold this wonderful space for everyone. So thank you.
Welcome.
So welcome. If anybody down below wants to say anything, I'll go around and do just a quick invite so that if you're in a spot, you can say hi, but otherwise, no rush, no problem. Just cleaning up. I think we're going to have a great day, everybody.
And I love you, Lee, with all my heart.
Thank you, Adriana. I love you too. I really, really appreciate you.
Have a great day, everyone.